I'm Samir Hasija. I'm the Dean of Executive Education and the Dean of Asia Campus for INSEAD. I'm also the Henry Ford Chaired Professor of Technology and Operations. I started my career as an assistant professor at INSEAD in 2008 in the Technology and Operations Management area. And that's really where my kind of research and intellectual interests lie, really looking at the intersection of technology and operations. The Phoenix Encounter method, and I'm careful with my words, I call it a method, and I'll explain why, is a process that we've designed to overcome a leadership issue that we have been observing for decades. This is an issue of blinkered thinking. Blinkered thinking gets developed in an organization not because of lack of talent, not because of lack of capabilities, but because the success of our past colors our view of the future. Unfortunately, sometimes a little bit too much. And we consistently end up believing that what made us successful in the past is exactly what will make us successful in the future. We have seen time and again that this thinking is the very reason why organizations in the future cease to exist. So the question is, how can we overcome this blinkered thinking, which is one of the most natural outcomes of being successful from the past? How do we break people out of the tunnel vision that gets developed because of our experiences that have shaped us into becoming who we are today? The Phoenix Encounter method is designed to put executives and leaders of organization in a position that is almost like a rude awakening, but a rude awakening in a safe space as opposed to in the real world where perhaps it may be too late and you may end up becoming an organization that is no longer relevant for the future. How we do this with participants in a workshop is after exposing them to multiple ideas of innovation that are happening around the world, which may or may not have anything to do with their industry. Walk them through a process where they are tasked with a project of coming up with a new business model, leveraging all sorts of technologies and business models that they can think of, with the aim of destroying the organization for which they currently work. This exercise, as daunting as it may be, very revealing when it comes to where the fault lines of every organization lie. We all have fault lines. There are vulnerabilities. And who best to expose their vulnerabilities than the executives of that organizations themselves? What happens from then is a series of conversations of allowing executives to think, if they had the opportunity of rethinking what their organizations should look like as opposed to what they look like today, what would that new organization be? We often find that the new organization, while having many of the positives of the existing organization, has many new and radically different elements. New and radically different elements which allow for breaking the blinkered thinking, challenging status quo, and forcing leaders and executives to think about how they can transform their business going forward, as a result future-proofing their business to the extent possible. The Phoenix Encounter method is a systematic method that walks executives through this process of destruction and reconstruction as a way to envision what the future may look like. And in our experience of doing this method or running such workshops with tens and thousands of executives now, we have found that their thinking of the future before the workshop is radically different than their thinking of what the future will look like after this workshop. As a result, allowing them to think outside of the tunnel vision, which is what we discussed earlier, is one of the biggest leadership issues in modern times.